Hey, thank you for taking the time to click on today's video. Well, let me ask you, what is the difference between yield versus return? Have you ever thought about it? Is there a point in your life in which you need more of a return and a different stage of your life in which you need more of a yield? Is one better than the other? Is one more appropriate than the other? Well, to you and I, most of us would understand that yield and return is the same. Now, Will Rogers, the famous actor, the son of Oklahoma, once said that he wasn't nearly as concerned about the return on his money as he was the return of his money. And there's no question that as we age and we get a little bit older, we want to be able to make certain that our principal is still there, because let's face it, one of the number one fears that retirees have today is running out of money before they run out of life. But I want you to understand the technical challenges that so many of us are facing as Americans. With the cost of living going up, with Social Security, maybe or maybe not, probably more often than not keeping up with inflation. What that means is that we're going to need to be taking the money that we've worked so hard to save over the course of our life, and we're going to need to be drawing from it. And you see, when we're in the accumulation stage, let's say we're 10 years away from retirement, we're still working. We want to be focused on the growth. We want to be focused on that G. We want to be hammered down. I have a number of individuals that have played it safe most of their retired life, and they were thankful for it. But I have many clients who played it safe when they were in the accumulation stage of their life, and now that they're in retirement, they regretted it. You see, when we're in the accumulation stage, we want to be extremely aggressive. We want to be risking our money because we know we don't need that money. We have the security of a paycheck, and we can let that money accumulate, compound. Now, this means we have to be smart about the money. We can't just, set it and forget it and let it manage itself. That's silly. But we want to be able to focus on owning assets, owning instruments, investments that over the course of time, from working until retirement, we're going to be able to compound and get more money made for us. That's when return is super important to us. We want a return on our investment. We want to see appreciation. Now, what about yield, though? You see, yield is something that we want to begin focusing on as we embark upon the distribution stage of our life. Now I'm retired, I'm in the distribution stage, Social Security, my pension isn't going to be enough for me to be able to do all the things that I want to do. It's not reaching my income want. And this is the whole reason that I've worked hard to save this money. If this resonates with you, then guess what? You're like most Americans today. This is something that we want to understand. Now that we have made the money that we have made, we have two goals in mind. Goal number one is to keep that money in our pocket. That means that we're taking on less risk. We're making investment decisions today that are different than the investment decisions that we were making when we were younger. We are making decisions that are going to reduce the risk of loss. We're going to do things that are going to help us preserve the principle that we have. Now, the second priority is going to be getting that money to produce a yield. Now, what is a yield? You see, in many people's minds, in fact, in many advisors' minds, their idea of a yield is a return. And that is absolutely disastrous in retirement. You see, if you're going to own a stock and that stock appreciates 5%, but you're going to use that 5% in order to be able to have income, well, guess what you just did to yourself? You are now in a position where you ended up having to sell that stock in order to get the 5% that it appreciated. And selling assets is never a good idea. So what you want is you want a yield. You want a dividend. You want interest that is compounding, that is being generated, that is being produced off from what you own. Somebody once asked Warren Buffett, when's the best time to sell a stock? And Warren Buffett responded, never. And I'm in agreement with that most of the time. You see, I own stock because I want those stocks to appreciate in value. But how can they appreciate in value if I'm constantly having to sell them? So what we want is income. What we want is preservation of principle. What we want is to be able to leave a legacy, perhaps, to our loved ones, to our spouse, our kids, our grandkids. And so as we get closer and closer to retirement, we want to now begin focusing not so much on the return as we want to be focusing on the yield. We want to be able to get 4%, 5%, 6% in our money. Think about $1 million producing $60,000 of income in interest and dividends every single year. Now, what if you didn't need all of that dividend income? Well, wouldn't that mean that you're still compounding your money? You're just doing it differently. And you see, if you're never having to sell any shares of that $1 million, now that $1 million is still there. That means you still own those stocks. That means that those stocks can still continue to appreciate. Not only that, but plus the dividend. So hopefully today's video has helped you understand that there is a very distinct difference between yield versus return. There's a very distinct time frame in your life in which you need yield versus return. But knowing the stage of life that you're in, knowing what kind of a return you need on your money, what kind of a yield you need on your money so that you can get your goals accomplished, so you can reach that objective, whether it's a value or you can reach the objective, whether it's an income amount that you're trying to accomplish every single month. These are the important outcomes that help you make better decisions as to how to invest your money. I thank you for watching today's video. If you got some value out of it, I always appreciate a thumbs up. That's always nice. It helps out. I also encourage you, come over here and click that little subscribe button. There's going to be a bell that pops up. Hit that button. We'll remind you every time we have a weekly video. And I also encourage you, share this with your friends. Maybe this is something so very basic, so very simple, but it is something that we all need to be mindful of if we're going to have a successful retirement. Thanks so much for watching. And remember, it's up to you to make today a great day.